Hey guys, welcome into this segment from our full-length The Onside Kick podcast. In order to get the full podcast, go down to the description, go to Blog Talk Radio / The Onside Kick to download the full thing. Enjoy, everybody. But Mark, let's move on into our next topic, and we are going to be talking about the Bears. And the Bears in the news this week. Victor Cruz going to be salsa dancing his way right into Chicago, signing a one-year deal to be with the Bears. And I'm going to ask you this. They are your team. You are the big Bears fan here, the head honcho and most valuable podcast when it comes to our Bears fans and Sean and Brandon and Dave and Mike. And I'm just going to ask you plain and simple. We've got Kevin White. You've got Meredith. You've got Kendall Wright. You've got Ruben Randall. You got Marcus Wheaton. Now you got Victor Cruz. How is Cruz going to fit in to this already kind of mosh-posh of wide receivers, except for maybe Meredith and White?
Yeah. Well, I mean, you name all these wide receivers, and that's kind of what it comes down to. You're talking about a number 3 or a number 4 in the offense. You don't expect a ton to come out of Victor Cruz. He's basically that guy who a long time ago proved that he knows how to catch the ball and he knows how to catch touchdowns. That's something that the Bears really needed last year with multiple games being lost because of dropped balls.
Thanks, Josh Bellamy.
And it really comes down to there needs to be something. And they're willing to give these guys who have had success or who have shown promise an opportunity to see if, hey, maybe you can do it here in Chicago. And if it doesn't work out, it's not that hard to get rid of a Victor Cruz. You know, it's not going to be that hard to get rid of a Kendall Wright.
Well, yeah, I mean, after the year, Victor Cruz is gone. You can say bye-bye, see you later. It didn't work out.
So it's not really that big of a concern. I mean, Victor Cruz is going to be hopefully the guy who Cameron Meredith, if he steps it up a little bit further, will demand his attention, his respect. Kevin White should hopefully be able to demand his attention and respect. And a guy like Wright or a guy like Cruz can just be available. Be available for the young quarterback to throw the ball to.
Well, and the thing and the reason why I say all the names at the beginning is when I'm looking at this wide receiver core, I can't help but think this is just, hey, let's take a bunch of crap and let's just throw it against the wall. And I'm not calling the wide receivers crap. I'm just saying what the saying is. Let's throw a bunch of crap at the wall. Let's see what sticks. And if Kendall Wright doesn't work out, okay, Ruben Randall, step on in. Oh, Ruben Randall's not working out. Hey, Marcus Wheaton, step right in. Hey, Marcus Wheaton ain't working out. Victor Cruz, step right in. That's what I think this is going to be for the Bears. And what they really need, what this Bears team really needs, is Meredith and White to be locked down 1 and 2. And Meredith, I am not the hugest fan of him being a number 1 or a number 2. Maybe a number 2 at the absolute top of his potential is what he can be. He is not a number 1 in my mind, but really you would like Kevin White to kind of step up and be the number 1. That's why you drafted him, and it just hasn't worked out. So, I mean, Victor Cruz, to me, I think he's going to step in. Right now he's behind Randall and Wheaton in that slot receiver position. I think that he can easily pass Ruben Randall on that part of the depth chart. And then really I think it's with Ruben Randall, I would play Victor Cruz over a Kendall Wright. And I think it would, for me, come down to, okay, Meredith and White are my 1, 2. Maybe Wheaton's my 3, and then Victor Cruz is my 4. Or it's, hey, Wheaton's not playing good. Okay, Victor Cruz, you're now my 3.
Yeah, I mean, the Bears have they have a lot of flexibility here. I mean, it's very interchangeable for these guys. And, you know, you mentioned the throwing crap at the wall, and the Chicago Bears have had this kind of next man up mentality ever since Ryan Pace has gotten here, because of the fact that he's very much in the mindset of, I'm going to give a lot of people the opportunity to prove themselves. Chicago, in a way, is kind of becoming a second chance destination for a lot of players of things maybe didn't work out somewhere else.
Mike Lennon.
Maybe this can work out here, and if not, okay, you're out. At least you had your opportunity to prove yourself. And I think
Brian Hoyer, Barkles.
The mentality with that is that players will hopefully want to prove themselves and will play a little bit better. You know, a guy like Victor Cruz, who has shown that he has the opportunity to have 1,500 yards in a season, and last few seasons has been under 1,000 yards. Injury was a big deal. So it's a guy who needs to do something to prove himself, needs to show that he is still relevant and that he can still be successful because he's 30 years old. This season he will turn 31, and there's not a ton of time left on his clock for the NFL. So wouldn't it be nice for him to be successful one more time, two more times, however much he's got left?
The thing that I'm looking at is I'm looking at the wide receivers from last year. Well, actually, all of the receiver numbers from last year. And out of the top 5 receiving yards on the Bears last year, only 3 of them are still on the team. Meredith, who had the most at 888 yards, Zach Miller, who had the third at 486, and Jordan Howard, who had 298 receiving yards. Eddie Royal, no longer there. Alshon Jeffrey, no longer there. And that Eddie Royal, he was recently waived right before the Victor Cruz signing went down.
Didn't surprise anybody.
I believe the Bears also waived a nobody wide receiver today because they had to rescind their waiver opportunity for Connor Shaw because of the Mark Sanchez injury that happened today, the minor knee injury that happened today to him. But I just look at it, and the Eddie Royal loss, I'll say, and I'll put it in air quotes, is minor to me because I think either Wheaton, Randall, or Cruz.
Well, he didn't really play last year.
Exactly. If you need the hole filled, one of those 3 is going to do it. And I leave Kendall Wright out because out of the Wheaton, Randall, Cruz, and Wright's the 4th behind all those guys to me. And the big one to me is Victor Cruz and what could be this. I'm going to use it on him because he's what the segment's about, but it could also fall to Wheaton and Randall as well, and even Cameron Meredith. That Alshon Jeffrey hole is the big one. And I think this year for the Bears, the guy that really needs to step up for them in this receiving core is Kevin White. If Kevin White can't fill in for that effort, for that Alshon Jeffrey void that they have, this Bears team will not be successful. And if Kevin White can't fill that void, then it's going to take the Marcus Wheatons, the Ruben Randalls, the Victor Cruzes to kind of say, like you said, okay, he's not pulling his weight. Next man up. I have to help this team because if I don't, we're going to lose more games. Because I'll be honest, although I am not the hugest fan of Cameron Meredith, just like I said, because I don't think he's a number 1 for a team, you can't do it all with Cameron Meredith. You need these guys to all pitch in, and they all need to help. And if Kevin White isn't pulling his weight, that's when the veterans of Wheaton, Randall, and Victor Cruz, who you just signed, need to say, okay, you're not pulling your weight. We got to do it to help this team.
But it's also the opportunity, of course, for the preseason to figure out who's going to be the guys who are worth keeping around.
Because guys are going to get cut.
Exactly. And Alshon Jeffrey, on paper, is a big hole. But honestly, Alshon Jeffrey didn't do that much for the Chicago Bears last year. Part of it was injury issues. Part of it was getting suspended. So definitely not anything that you're really all that concerned about besides the fact that it's a 6'3" wide receiver that can make free catches. And I don't want to downplay Alshon Jeffrey because I know Chicago Bears fans would just get angry at me for doing that. But what I'm saying is
he's a big part of the offense.
Not really last year.
I'm just saying overall.
On paper, he should be. Yeah, on paper, he should be a big part of the offense. It just happens that Alshon Jeffrey hasn't been playing that great, and that's why I wasn't that upset when he was gone. I miss him, but I'm not that upset about it. 12 games last year, 9 games the previous year. So that's not the worst thing in the world. Unfortunately, Kevin White isn't there either. Yeah, he's not going to be healthy either. So the Bears really need to get back to the kind of roots. Jordan Howard's there. Run the ball with Jordan Howard. You got some really powerful, or at least tight ends that are full of potential out there. So take advantage of them. You don't need to have 4 or 5 wide receivers out there. This isn't like the Mark Trestman era where they want to throw the ball 40, 50, 60 times in a game. Hopefully the Chicago Bears aren't going to do that. So run the ball, go traditional, even if it's a little conservative, because we know John Fox likes to be conservative when it comes to play calling. So the Chicago Bears can be built to do that. They don't need the flashiest wide receivers. They just need guys who can catch the ball and who can move the sticks.
Well, and that's exactly it. And the one thing that kind of reminds me of is just look at 2015 in the team I root for, the Minnesota Vikings. I mean, you look at the team that we had that year.
Dink and dunk.
And I look at the wide receivers that we had. Our leading receiver didn't even get 1,000 yards, Stephon Diggs. Now, was that a good season for him? Of course. We also had Kyle Rudolph, which was a good tight end target, maybe what Zach Miller could be for this Bears team again this year, as he was in that top 5 for receiving for the Bears last year. And then Mike Wallace just sitting there and contributing, catching the ball, 39 receptions on 72 targets, Rudolph 49 on 71, Stephon Diggs 52 catches on 84 targets. Then you look at our quarterback that year. I mean, Teddy Bridgewater is making the progression. He was a 3,000-yard guy, and of course, 14 touchdowns to 9 interceptions. But what was the big guy that made that offense go? Oh, yeah, a guy who's now in New Orleans, Adrian Peterson, almost had 1,500 yards, had about 10 rushes of 20 or more yards, and 11 touchdowns. So, I mean, that is kind of, I looked in what you were saying, hey, you got Jordan Howard, why not go back to that? And I look at it and go, you can do that because my team has done that. I've seen that happen where you don't need that, hey, we got the star wide receiver, we're going to throw to him. You don't need to be the New York Giants and what they're going to be this year.
I mean, the NFL is certainly a passing league. No one's going to forget about that there. But there are plenty of teams that run the ball a lot, move slowly, methodically, dink and dunk their way. I mean, in the regular season, the most successful team last year was exactly that, the Dallas Cowboys. So
they didn't pressure the ball. They didn't push the ball down the field with Dak.
Not at all. And the only team that was really being an issue for them was the New York Giants. And the Bears have enough Giants on the team now that I think they'll be okay. But anyways, it's just one of those things where you look at the way the Chicago Bears were a long time ago, what they tried to be and kind of failed at, besides that 1 year where they had the second best scoring offense in the league. It all fell apart. Everything, offense, defense, special teams, everything was terrible. And they're building it back up in that kind of more traditional route. I mean, the Bears have never really been known for wide receivers. They've been known for having a great defense and a really good running back.
Well, and I mean, I'm going to use another example from my Minnesota Viking career of the 2012 season. That was the year the Joe Webb played in the game against the Packers. Christian Ponder was our quarterback that year in the regular season.
Great year.
Just under 3,000 yards, 18 touchdowns, 12 interceptions. Receiving-wise, Percy Harvin, 677 yards. Kyle Rudolph, just under 500. Michael Jenkins, just under 450. These are wide receiver numbers where no guy is getting over 1,000 yards.
Yeah.
Our best guy in Percy Harvin got 677, but then you look at Adrian Peterson, and I know that a lot of Bears fans and maybe even some Viking fans who are listening right now are probably going to go, Ricky, you can't compare Adrian Peterson to Jordan Howard. You just can't do it. I'm not trying to do that. I'm just saying
You're just saying good running backs.
We were able to lean on the running game a little bit, and that year Adrian Peterson had over 2,000 yards that year, 27 yards of 20 and above, and then 12 touchdowns, only 3 fumbles.
Yeah.
So that's another year I was just kind of going back, being
Now,
like,
to be
hey,
fair,
I'm used to this.
Yeah, to be fair in that case, the Vikings kind of squeaked their way into the playoffs.
Yes, 2015 would be the better example because we did win the division outright that year.
It's just, you see a signing like Victor Cruz, and a lot of Chicago Bear fans are going to go, what the hell? The guy's been injured. The guy's not doing anything. It's more of the same. You don't need these guys to be these absolute all-stars. You just need somebody to step up.
Here's another thing I'm going to throw out about Victor Cruz. And this also goes for Ruben Randall and Marcus Wheaton And even
the other guys.
And even Kendall Wright.
Well, we can refer to them as the other guys.
The other guys, fine. The other guys. What they are going to be able to do, and this is all in one scenario. What if the Trubisky starts? If the Trubisky starts from day one, what is he going to need? Veterans who know what to do. Because let's be honest, if you're going out there and you're saying, like, there's no way after getting Mitchell Trubisky, there's no way Ryan Pace could go out there and say, well, okay, Josh Bellamy, Daniel Braverman, Deontay Thompson, those are your guys. No, I'm not going to be confident in that. If there's a chance I'm throwing a rookie quarterback out there, whether it's week 1 or whether it's week 10 and below, I need some veterans out there that this rookie can lean on, that can be confident in, that said, hey, you know what? And if the rookie, because all rookies probably have it, of that, just that moment of like, okay, you got this, you can do this. Those veterans can then come over and go, hey, Mitch, you got this.
Yeah.
You got this.
I mean, sure, I wouldn't be super concerned about that. Whoever can catch the ball, I'm happy with.
Mark just wants completed passes.
Right.
Mark is a simple man.
I mean, the worst thing that you can do that rookie quarterback is have him get the ball in those hands and it bounced off. It's on the ground now. That's going to be worse. That's the worst case scenario right there.
I just see it as competent, and that's usually you get that from veterans, of competent receivers. I mean, Kendall Wright, I would say, is the only one that I'm not too confident in, might drop the ball the most out of those 4. But this receiving core, what Victor Cruz brings overall, is he can bring a guy, what Mark's saying, just catch the ball. He can catch the ball, especially if he can work in that slot. And if Kevin White can demand some attention outside, open up that middle of the field, and Victor Cruz and Marcus Wheaton and Ruben Randall can kind of make that territory their home right in the middle of the field, he can work that way, but also he can give some confidence in case you need to start Trubisky early in the season.
Yeah. So for really what it comes down to me when we're talking about Bears wide receivers is that it doesn't matter. It's the other guys. That's really what it comes down to.
I'll ask you this. This is the last thing I'll ask you, and if you have any final thoughts, you can throw it out there being the Bears fan. With this receiving core, who do you think the beginning of the year, who's going to be throwing to him, Glennon or Trubisky?
Probably Glennon.
Do you think that Trubisky gets in at all?
Yep, I do.
What week? Mark, yeah, he plays.
He'll play. I don't know. I think it'll be towards the end. I think it's a double-digit week that he probably plays to be safe. I mean, he can go in there anytime after the bye week. There's opportunity.
And then any final thoughts on the Bears? Because with mine, my final thoughts are just emulate what my Vikings did. You don't need a ton of yards. Catch the ball. Lean on Jordan Howard.
Well, I mean, you're emulating what the Bears are known for. In that case, be the Chicago Bears. That's really all it comes down to. Be the Bears.
Well, and this is where we're going to pose the question on to you guys. What does Victor Cruz, A, bring to this Bears receiving core? And then B, Bears fans, what is kind of your thoughts, your optimism, your pessimistic attitude, whatever it may be about this season? What are you worried about? What are you excited about? Especially with this offense and this receiving core, and what are they going to do for either Mike Glennon or Mitch Trubisky? Let us know down below in the comment section. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed that segment from the onside kick. If you think the fun stops there, you're wrong, because click the video right over here. What are you thinking? Come on, click it. It's going to go away. It's going to go away. Bye, everybody.